Hi, welcome everyone to our broadcast here. We have a special presentation for you today. My name is Russ Brown. I'm with the Public Information Officer for Yuba County, and we're trying to do some more information that gets out there to the public that we feel like our residents are waiting for. They're anticipating. They're kind of anxious to hear about things that are going on, especially this topic today. So we're talking about broadband, a very important topic, and we brought in Ian Scott. Ian is with our planning department with a dedicated purpose of being a, what was your title? It goes both ways, right? Is a broadband project manager or a project manager broadband?
It's whatever you want it to
Okay,
be.
well, we're going to go with that because I'm still learning about these things. Anyway, welcome. We appreciate you coming on. Broadband, of course, is a lot of things to a lot of people, and we want to make sure that our residents understand what's going on. We know that in Yuba County, a lot is going on. There have been a lot of concerns for a decade about how much digital technology is reaching into our communities. It's getting pretty deep into our communities in the valley. Not all the way, but our foothill communities, of course, a little more sparsely populated and struggling. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you come from? Tell us a little bit about you, Ian.
Sure. So, for myself, I've been here in the planning department about, say, 2.5 years. I'm very interested in trying to solve difficult problems. I've had a lot of different things assigned to me that allowed me to demonstrate, I guess you could say, more techie type skills. Broadband happened to fall into my lap. Going on a little bit more than a year ago now.
Okay.
And it's been a great effort so far, and I'm happy to talk to you about it today.
So for about a year, focus on broadband, the idea of bringing those elements here to the Yuba County area. As we said, that technology exists quite a bit here in the valley area, in the sparse in the foothills. So what is, I guess let's define it first. So I know our residents they think of it differently. I mean, they think of it in terms of entertainment. They think of it in terms of communications. They think of it in terms of other things. So just kind of bundle up very briefly, what is broadband?
Sure. Broadband is many things, but in the most general terms, broadband is used as a definition to just discuss high-speed internet. But it's more than that. It's also made up of last mile and middle mile infrastructure, which is
so
just
you have
another
half mile and infrastructure. So you could explain that to us. And those are terms we're going to hear again and again, that people should think about this as you move forward in this discussion, because you will hear that last mile and middle mile.
That's right.
Those two terms. So again, let's go into that.
Sure. So last mile can be considered however it is that your household or business at the endpoint is able to receive a broadband signal. And middle mile is the area of the broadband infrastructure, the whatever it is that gets you your connection between where it is derived from or where it comes from the broadband provider or from any sort of private sector or public sector source. That middle mile then goes to your house. So the middle mile can be considered, if we look at this in the same way as water, as a main water main going down subdivision street or something like that along a foothill community road. And the last mile is, if we're using the same example, the pipes that bring the water from the main water pipe to the house.
Okay.
So broadband is very similar in that way.
Okay. Well, it is something going to individual location, homes and businesses alike. So, and we've been working for a number of years, and I know that it's been going on at the federal level, state level, the interest in seeing our communities that are underserved in terms of broadband, having that technology get close to them or get into those communities or into those households, because some are even further out, not necessarily part of a community. So a lot to consider there. Where are we at in Yuba County right now in that process?
Sure. So in order to understand where we are, it's important to know how we've got here.
Okay.
So in April of 2021, the county, through the direction of the Board of Supervisors, in cooperation with the Yuba Water Agency, the county and the Yuba Water Agency actually came together and decided to commission a Broadband Master Plan.
Okay.
I was assigned in the planning department to assist the contractor selected by the Yuba Water Agency to get through the information gathering process. I actually was successfully recruited to become the broadband project manager in June of 2021.
Okay.
By September, the Broadband Master Plan was complete, and by October of 2021, the board actually approved I should say that the board approved the Broadband Master Plan at that time. Now, since then, we've been able to have a much better idea of where broadband is and where it is not. The Broadband Master Plan also gave us a lot of ideas to how we can take examples that have been best practices in other cities, in other counties, states, and the federal level, and we can actually bring those here to Yuba County to deliver results to bring broadband to all of our residents.
Okay, so that's having that plan in place, and I know that it's been a lot of production. I know we've heard over the last several years about various meetings on broadband here and there, and then with the county really getting involved in creating a master plan here. And we've also heard there's the idea of more grant funding coming from the state and federal levels, trickling down to local entities such as Yuba County. Is having a master plan like that important in having access to those grants?
Absolutely. So a lot of jurisdictions, a lot of places, cities and counties, they will begin going from not having the best broadband service to getting results by going through something like a Broadband Master Plan. Next up is to produce feasibility studies to determine where we need last mile and middle mile, how much it will cost. And I can tell you that work on that effort is underway, and we are in the process of identifying.
And you're talking about work being the planning aspect of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So once the feasibility studies are completed, we will then be able to go into this state and federal grant season with a much more competitive situation than had we not have made this progress.
Well, you got to be excited about that.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's actually great. And looking at this, I know that, and I know you talk about providers, and we're talking about the whole range of the little providers that we might have that around our counties. There are a handful of them, and we have the big providers, the giants out there. So you're going to talk about both of those who are a part of this conversation as well.
Absolutely. You know, when we're talking about broadband in Yuba County, the Board of Supervisors has provided a policy direction that calls for public-private partnerships.
Okay.
And what this approach means is the county, in cooperation with our public sector partners like the Water Agency and others at the state and federal level, we actually get together and we bring the all the different types of providers to that table, and from there we all get together, and those of us in the public sector side, we're asking our broadband provider community ways in which we can help them to do their job of serving our residents here in the county. Now, as you mentioned, there are many different types of broadband providers. We have the local players, we have the big players, we have many different technologies too. There are things ranging from what's called fiber providers,
Mm-hmm.
companies like, for example, Comcast. We also have many of our local providers that use wireless internet towers.
So fiber would be that hard connection, that wire going right up into your server, right up into your modem.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, we also have companies that provide wireless internet service, where you see those towers that actually provide the connection from that, you could call it a middle mile connection, to a receiver on your house.
Okay.
That is not that different from a satellite. Now, in addition to those two types, a lot of the cell phone provider communities, they're actually starting to come together around providing internet to the house as well.
Okay.
So, if all of this wasn't enough, Russ, we also have companies that are launching satellites that can then beam internet down from low Earth orbit.
Which takes away the problem of mountain being in the way.
Exactly.
It's interesting. So that's actually exciting. There's actually exciting technology and advances as we're trying to develop these broadband opportunities. Other things we might be able to take advantage of to get this digital age into some of these communities and households. And is it all just Netflix? I hope so, right? Netflix and Amazon and streaming services.
I can say that there are people out there that think that is the most important thing. However, broadband is many different things to many different people. For some of us, it's something that is for work from home. For others, it's telehealth, being able to sit down and have a Zoom call with a doctor that could be, hours away from you. In our foothill communities, it's also incredibly important for emergency response, being able to get real-time information in an emergency, in a storm or a fire event.
So it might bolster the Code Red system that Yuba County Office of Emergency Services had to reach more people, to make sure there's more of a solid signal out there reaching into the communities.
Absolutely.
Good. So,
one other thing I would say about that, Russ, is in addition to those other uses for what broadband is,
mm-hmm.
we can also consider broadband to be a form of economic development.
It's very important.
Because in the past, we had large investments in things like roads that began through these great investments resulting in cities
mm-hmm.
near them. We have power lines that serve much the same purpose for economic development, waterways as well with water utilities. In my opinion, broadband should be considered much in the same way, as it is a new form of infrastructure to help people to be in this digital world that we're all so connected to now for so many things in our lives.
You kind of wonder about that. You have a lot of tech people that would love to live in Yuba County, but the connectivity makes it difficult for them to continue working. If you create that connectivity, you could have a lot of people having interest in being a part of this community, and even those that are there now starting businesses, because of that ability to step up their being able to work from home and do some spectacular work through a good, solid broadband connection.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. I like the goal. I know there's a lot of people out there that are interested in that, in bolstering what they're able to do with an online presence. So that's very important right now. So what areas of the county are kind of struggling to get this broadband connection?
Sure. So the largest problem that is occurring with broadband access right now is actually everything north of Highway 20. As a matter of fact, according to the research done for the Broadband Master Plan, the state of California says that only 20 to 40% of households north of Highway 20 have a 6 megabytes download, meaning what you're getting from the internet, and 1 megabyte per second upload, meaning what you're able to put out there, connection.
And you're looking at a world where gigabyte connections are really what people are looking at these days.
Exactly. And the new federal definition for broadband is actually 25 pulling from the internet and 3 going back to it. So as you can see, we have quite a bit of work to do.
Okay.
But in addition to the issues that we have in the foothills, it's also important to note that this is a problem in our more rural areas as well. And it's a problem in areas that do not have a certain level of population density, which is to say that there just aren't very many people living in a certain area.
Okay. So we have, as you said, we have a lot of work to do. And I take it that it's pretty much simplifying it, but it means your team and those partners that we're with finishing up that plan, finishing up the various elements, finding out where we need to have those nodes, those miles leading up there, the first mile and the last mile, the middle mile.
Exactly.
How do we and getting to that point? So we need to identify that. We need to go out for funding. We need to probably contract. So you're still talking about months and years right now in the progress, but things are moving forward.
Absolutely.
Okay, so people can look forward to someday in the next couple of years of seeing more progress moving towards that, perhaps.
Definitely.
Is that fair?
It certainly is fair, Russ.
Okay.
One thing I'll say on that is, we've been in this effort now as a county for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
I can say we're going to have quite a bit of time ahead of us, but we are going to be seeing progress along the way. Already, the county is developing these relationships, not just with the broadband providers, but with the people we'll need to be talking to in the public sector to help us to be effective with these grants. And already, we have had interest as a county in having new broadband providers actually knocking on our door, wanting to enter our market and ask what they can do to help as well.
That's excellent. And of course, competition always helps to keep things in check and it brings more services to an area.
Definitely.
Which is excellent. So now we're talking about who has the information that you need to find out where broadband is and where it isn't right now effectively in Yuba County?
That's a great question. At the end of the day, we are looking to people who do not have a very good connection right now to tell us about it.
Okay.
We want to hear from people in the community that are not satisfied with their current level of broadband service. To that end, we have a tool that we are asking people to download and
online
use
tool. Okay.
called, it is calspeed.org.
Okay, which right now should be appearing right below us as we talk. Good.
And what that allows us to do is we're able to see where people do and do not have effective internet connections.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we would also like for people to tell us if their internet connection is not stable enough to even do the test, because that data is also very important. And when we are able to use this data, we will be able to tell the state and the feds that their maps that they use for grant funding are not working for the people of Yuba County.
Sure.
And we can then tell them that this information provided by our people is actually the correct information.
Okay.
And that will be incredibly helpful for us to be able to move forward on this project.
Yeah, I'm sure at this point it's hard to have a very clear picture, but the public can help you. So, we're asking the residents to go to calspeed.org. Go to that website, have that site test the speed on your computer, and that way it submits it, and it has an idea of what's going on. And if you cannot get connectivity, if you have a hard time with that, how do they reach out to you to let you know?
Absolutely. My information, I'm happy to share that.
Okay.
It's iscott@co.yuba.ca.us.
Okay, and we're going to have that down here too, because that's a horribly complicated email address that we all, it's a burden for all of us. So,
And of course, my office numbers are also available as well.
okay, that's excellent. I think that Yuba County tries to be that way. We try to be available and conversational about these things. So we really encourage residents to test their speed on whatever connection they have, and reach out to Ian. Ian we have a one-person point of contact, and that's a good thing. He's working on this project. It's his life right now, and we're excited to see things advance in Yuba County. So is there anything else you want to add as we close out this conversation?
I would just like to thank the people of Yuba County for making broadband a priority in addition to the Board of Supervisors. And I am very happy to report on the progress of our current effort. We'll continue coming to to things like this to let people know where we are.
Sure.
And as we know more, we plan on providing this information.
Okay. Yeah, and Ian and I spoke about it maybe in 3 or 4 months coming back, doing another recording like this to update the community. And we thank the Office of Emergency Services for Yuba County letting us use their Emergency Operations Center as a backdrop. Fortunately, it's nice and quiet. That's how we like it. But it's just representing the technology that's here, and this is the kind of thing that needs to connect everybody. And this is a project it's working to do that on the digital level. So again, Ian, we thank you. Hey, appreciate you coming in. Okay, and we'll have you back in a few months to talk about it again. Okay.
Great.
Anyway, thank you everybody from Yuba County for watching, and
Thank
we'll get
you.
back to you soon.